Good morning, everyone. It's Carol here from aquahaven747.com. In today's video, I would like to share with you some frugal tips my mother taught me and some from my dad as well. Now, some of you may know or may not know, my parents were quite a bit older when they started a family, and my dad actually grew up during the Depression, and my mom grew up during World War II in England. So she was even sent away to the countryside for a little while one summer when there was a lot of bombing going on in her city. So anyway, if you would like to have some tips on frugal living, please keep watching and I'll see you at the end. Now, back in the 30s, there was a saying that I really relate to, and I believe my parents really did too. And it goes like this. It says, use it up, wear it out, make do, or do without. Now, on that first principle, which was to use things up, with any condiments or consumable products, shampoo, conditioner, dishwasher, use them up before you throw them out. Put a little bit of water in your shampoo, conditioner, dishwashing liquid bottle. Get the last little bit out before you throw the bottle out. Ketchup, any other condiments, turn it upside down. Make sure you get it all out before you do a final rinse and get rid of that bottle. What else we got here? We have, here's one thing my mom was pretty good about: using up the last pieces of toilet paper on the roll. It kind of goes along with also don't be wasteful about things. And like, she would count out the squares on the toilet paper roll. I mean, unless you're sick, you don't need a whole roll of toilet paper to wipe your behind, So anyway, there is that. Also, a lot of people use too much laundry detergent. It doesn't really take that much to clean a load of laundry. It's the agitation that actually cleans it. So if you're overfilling it, no amount of soap is really going to get that clean. So don't overfill your washing machine. You can get by with using a little bit of the detergent, for probably even less than what it says on the box or the package that you're using. Obviously, also, you shut off all your lights and appliances, saving on electricity. You run your appliances during the peak hours. I mean, that was something that started later in my mom's life. So, but she was always very aware of that. So, like, I do my laundry after 7 o'clock, which is the low time, so it's not as expensive. And we've been doing that for over 20 years now, maybe even longer. I can't remember when they brought that in. Dressing in layers in the winter to keep warm instead of cranking the heat. Wear your slippers, your sweaters, your cardigans, wear undershirts and long johns if you need to, that type of thing. So that also really, really helps. I mean, it just kind of makes me shake my head when people have their heat cranked up to like 30 degrees in the middle of winter so they can walk around in their underwear or their shorts, that is so wasteful. Anyway, mind you, if they're paying their own bills, they can do whatever the heck they want. But this is about frugal tips, so they're obviously not being frugal, right? And water isn't free either. So don't keep it running down the drain when you're using it. So use a little bit, shut it off. Don't keep it running while you run off and do something else. I'm bad for that sometimes, but I do try. So the next point is to wear things out. And that doesn't just apply to clothing. It applies to all household goods, your car or truck or whatever other thing you own. you will keep that thing until it is completely worn out and cannot be fixed anymore. And that leads me to the next tip, which is to repair and maintain things. By repairing and maintaining your things, you are extending their life. You may be helping them perform better. You're helping the environment and saving yourself some money. And some examples of that would be to keep up your car's oil changes and regular maintenance. Regularly clean your appliances like your washer, your dryer, fridge, stove, dishwasher, whatever. If you're not sure how you're supposed to be doing that, check your manual. If you don't have the manual anymore, you can go online and look for that. And also defrost your freezer on a regular basis. And you may not want to go around with patches on your clothes, but doing like putting buttons on or just restitching the seam is very easy for people to do. And if you can't do that yourself for some reason, you can pay someone else. And that may not be quite as frugal, but it could possibly be a little bit cheaper than buying new clothes. Could be. Or at the very least, it saves the environment. And that leads me to my next tip, which is to learn a new skill. Now, my mom learned how to refinish furniture, reupholster furniture. There was pretty much nothing that she couldn't do. And my dad as well. He was pretty handy. If he didn't know how to do something, he would learn how to do it. But here's some ideas for you. Number one, cooking. I think everybody should learn how to cook. Sewing, knitting, gardening, canning, cleaning, computer skills, which are essential in today's world, woodworking, furniture refinishing, furniture reupholstering, painting, interior and exterior, basic plumbing, changing a car tire, using a snow blower. These are just a few ideas for you. So I hope that's getting the wheels spinning there and get you thinking about things that you'd like to learn how to do. For my next point, the make do in that little phrase, one of the best stories I have from my dad, actually, when he was growing up, or actually I think he'd already grown up, but he came from a pioneer family. They lived in the middle of nowhere, no hydro, no phone lines, and they basically lived off the land. And he said, if you wanted new furniture or something, you had to, basically go cut the tree down, get the wood, and make it yourself, because there was no money to go and get it anywhere else. So that was one thing that he had said. But I think we need to be grateful for what we have. So we may not be able to run out and buy the new shiny object every time we want, and that's okay. So we'll make do with what we have, and we'll be perfectly fine. A couple more frugal tips that I think will fit under making do category. Number one is to be mindful and intentional about your purchases. So you don't go shopping just for pleasure, mindless shopping to buy something. Mom never did that. She always had a shopping list, and she kept track of everything too. So that's the other tip, was having a budget, an emergency fund, and keep track of your spending. She always kept track of every penny we spent. And she taught my brother and I all about money and earning money and spending money. When we were old enough to get an allowance and we had chores to do, and if we wanted to make some more money, we had more chores that we could do on top of our regular chores for a little bit more money. I got out of doing the grass cutting though because of my allergies, which was good. But that meant that I got to do all the ironing. I I've burnt myself so many times. For $2 a week, I did all the ironing for the whole family. But I survived, and I am a stronger person because of it. What can you do without? You know, at the top of the list should be things that you don't really need, love, or can afford. And I still, to this day, hear my mother's voice echoing in my head saying, can you afford it? When I want to go and spend money on something. So, don't ever go into debt if you can possibly avoid it. I mean, yeah, you're going to have to go into debt probably to buy a house. You might even need to go into debt a little bit to buy a car, but really don't do that if you can possibly avoid it. Debt is a trap. So avoid that as much as possible. Okay, so on to the next point. Now these days, food is extremely expensive. So if there's any way that you can grow some of your own food, then do that. Now you may not have a yard big enough where you can put a big garden or anything, but maybe you've got a balcony where you can grow some tomato plants or something, if that's something that you actually eat. This past year was the first time I've actually had a little bit of a garden, and I did a bit of container stuff, plus I had 2 raised garden beds, and I'm learning. It's a learning experience. I mean, some of the things I got weren't that great, and some things did not come up at all, or if they came up, they didn't actually produce any vegetables for me, like the Brussels sprouts. I didn't get any of those, and but I did get lots of cherry tomatoes. The cherry tomatoes did well, and I got a few zucchini, and I got some green onions. So, and I got some really skinny celery. But next year, or this year I should say, hopefully I'll do a little bit better. So my next tip, if you are on the market for an appliance or a gadget or something like that, look for multi-purpose items. Don't go for that one-off gadget unless you're going to be using that specifically all the time. It's a better use of your money and space if you get something that can do more than one function at the same time. For Christmas, I got this gorgeous Ninja pot, and it does air frying, slow cooking, pressure cooking, dehydrating. You can bake bread in it. You can do all kinds of stuff in this thing. So I'm loving learning how to use that. And eventually I'll be able to get rid of some other stuff and just have the one, I hope. Now my next tip is a big one, and that is to repurpose things. Clothes that once they get worn out, they can get turned into yard clothes or paint clothes in my case. If they're not too bad and just have to be thrown in the trash, like unfortunately my favorite shirt here got two holes there under the armpit there, and unfortunately they cannot be fixed. Really, I don't really want to wear it with a patch under my arm, and it's not the type of fabric that I can turn it into rags either, because it's not really absorbent. So this unfortunately is going in the trash. But reuse things and repurpose things as much as possible. My mom used to use margarine containers for food storage in the fridge. She also saved letters that had if it was blank on the back side, she would cut it into like smaller squares and use that for scrap paper. Pill containers, she'd save all those. I put like buttons in them and tacks and like little things. Now furniture, some pieces of furniture may have started out in one room for one purpose, and then they could get moved to another room for another purpose. I will put a picture of these shelves up here that have been in my family for ages. My mom bought them at a thrift store way back in the early 70s for like $10. And they've been painted and made over many times. But they were in my playroom when I was a kid. They've been used as bookshelves. They've been used as shoe shelves in an entrance hall. And now they live in my garage. But yeah, that was a great thing. And the same with accessories. You may have had an accessory in one room forever, and you want to change up your decor, you can just switch things around. That's another way you can repurpose things. So my next frugal tip is to make gifts. And it's one of my earliest memories. I think I was either 2 or 3. And for my birthday, my dad made me a little doll bed out of plywood scraps, and my mom made me a doll blanket and a pillow to go with it. And when I was older, my mother made me a Holly Hobby rag doll. She was really good at sewing. And my dad made me a little log chair for the doll that he made with his chainsaw, because I always really liked those little chairs that I saw some guys make at fairs with their chainsaw. And of course he wouldn't let me buy one because he could make one, right? And this last year, well, I've tried to make a few things over the years for gifts, but this last year I also made a lot of my Christmas gifts. I did a blog article on that, and I will link that below in the description if you want to go and get some ideas for things you might make for gifts in the future. And yeah, I mean, it means a lot more to the person receiving it. So if you make something, I think, and especially if you think about what they might actually want or appreciate. And it saves you money sometimes. My next frugal tip is about recycling and disposing of things responsibly. Now, my mom, even before it became the thing to do, was big into recycling and composting and all that. She would wash out all the cans, cut off the tops and bottoms, flatten them, and put them in a box. She'd wash out all the jars and bottles, separate them into clear, brown, and green glass. And once a year, she would take the trek down to Toronto to the recycling depot, and she actually got a little bit of money for taking that in too. Of course, they don't have that anymore. We give our recycling away for free, and I've heard that not all our recycling actually goes to recycling, and that's a whole other video that I don't know if that I'm up to the challenge of ever doing, but there is that. And she always composted too, and she threw our vegetable scraps and food scraps out in the backyard compost pile by the rhubarb patch. So there was that. Now furniture, I don't remember them ever going to the dump, or not very often anyway, to take stuff there. I know my dad has taken things out of the dump, which back then you could do. Now it's illegal, you can't. You see some good furniture, it's too bad. So it's theirs. But things were made a lot better back then too. So and they took care of things. That was the biggest takeaway, I think, is that you take care of your things, they're going to last longer. Saves you money, right? Saves the environment. They gave a lot of hand-me-down furniture. When I first moved out, I got a lot of hand-me-down furniture from them, and I still have a lot of it. I'll put a picture up there. Little chest of drawers I still have. It was mine when I was a baby and a little kid, and then it got reused for Halloween costumes for a while, and then I got it for my son, my oldest son, and then I refinished it, and every single one of my boys have used that when they were little, and now it's in my guest suite. So whatever didn't get handed down eventually either ended up in a yard sale, or maybe there was a community flea market to raise money for something, and then the charity shops. So everything was disposed of responsibly. Now, the final frugal tip that I wanted to share with you today was to have some fun. There's a lot of things we can do that cost no money, and some that cost a little bit. But my mom always liked to go for walks in nature trails. She was really big into that. And when we were kids, we played a lot of board games. We went bike riding. That was free. Well, yeah, there's a few things you do need to have a little equipment. If you got a bike, you can go bike riding. Skates, skis, we got those. We went cross-country skiing. There's places you can go for free. Same with ice skating. We have some local ice skating rinks in the winter that we can go for free. And there's even in the arenas, it's like $2 a kid, so very inexpensive. And in my own hometown, we have this really nice little splash pad for kids, and that's free too. And of course, the playground equipment is free as well. But there's so many things that you can do. You might have a movie night at home with movies that you already have, or maybe you've already downloaded them and paid for them that way, but you don't have to do that. If you have a library membership, you can get movies for free. So there's another thing you can do. And sometimes libraries have special things on for kids. So I would look into that if I were you. There are lots of ways you can have fun for cheap or free. So I would love to hear from you if you've got any more suggestions of ways you can save money in any area, whether it's having fun or just in general. I think that would be great to hear. So anyway, I hope you enjoyed this video, and give me a like, a subscribe if you haven't already, and I will see you in the next one.